All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order on Monday, May 6, 2019. If you notice, we have a number of vacant chairs here, at least at the start of our meeting tonight. I think most of you, especially probably all of you who are with us tonight, were aware that we had a municipal election about 4 weeks ago. And the village of Arlington Heights, the residents, the duly appointed voters of this village had the opportunity to elect those who they wanted to serve them. And it's a critical importance that all of our voters get out and vote. And I would certainly encourage all of our registered voters to vote in municipal elections and local government elections because it's critically important for us to make sure that we represent you. And we want this village to be represented by people that you want to see sitting up here. And so if you don't vote, that can't happen. And so we very much encourage you as your current elected representatives to vote in municipal elections. We're fortunate to have a contested election for trustee this year. Not all villages do, and I think it's a very healthy thing to have a contested election so that the voters have a choice in terms of who their elected representatives are going to be. So before we can conduct any business here tonight, we need to fill these vacant seats. And so I like to call this the peaceful transition of kind of limited power because we don't have a whole lot of power here in the village of Arlington Heights. We work very closely with our other elected bodies, but we do control a number of different things here, including your taxes, which are very important to all of you. And so we're very happy to do that as your representatives. So we would like to get on then with the swearing in of our newly and duly elected trustees. And first I'd like to have Trustee John Scaletta join me up front. John, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name.
I, John D. Scaletta.
Having been elected to the office of village trustee.
Having been elected to the village of village trustee.
You've done this before.
Oh, I have. I'm getting it ready.
In the village of Arlington Heights.
In the village of Arlington Heights.
In the county of Cook.
In the county of Cook.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the office according to the best of my ability.
Of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, John. We know you.
Thank you. I want to start out by telling you that I am honored to be reelected, and I'm humbled by the support that I had throughout the village. And I appreciate the love and support that I received from all of my supporters, especially my family, my wife Tony, and my sons Gianni and Tripp. Tripp couldn't be here tonight because he's doing finals right now, but I really, really appreciate all of their support. And all of you for coming out tonight to witness the swearing in all of the trustees of the village of Arlington Heights. This is a great town, and I renew my pledge to always act in the best interest of all of the residents of the village of Arlington Heights. Thank you.
Robin? Robin, if you'd raise your right hand and state your full name.
I, Robin P. LaBedz,
having been elected to the office of Village Trustee
having been elected to the office of Village Trustee
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Nerve-wracking being up here. It's more nerve-wracking being here than it is being back there. Had to write out my Academy Award speech. It takes a village to get elected or re-elected. So first I'd like to thank the nearly 6,000 registered voters who came out to vote and be a part of the democratic process, and especially the nearly 4,400, excuse me, who voted for me. I am truly humbled by your support and pledge to do my best to represent you. I want to thank my fellow candidates, John, Mary Beth, Tom, and Lori. Win or lose, everyone ran campaigns to be proud of and which honored and respected our residents. I want to thank everyone who supported my campaign in ways large or small, whether it was by having a sign in their yard, making a donation, printing literature, telling their friends about me, hosting a coffee, writing a letter to the editor, opening their door when I knocked, or even being willing to take a piece of campaign literature from me at the train station. I wouldn't be here tonight without your support and votes. I had a great campaign committee, many of whom helped me 4 years ago. They include Mary Kay and Grace Baldino, Erica Cianelli, Jim Glickert, Arlen Gould, Libby Griffith, Kathy Grossman, Pat Lynn, Greg Menzies, Vivian Menzies, Gary McClung, Scott McKinney, Debbie Panos, Neil Scheifler, and Debbie Smart. I couldn't have done it without all of your hard work on my behalf, so thank you very much. I especially want to thank my campaign manager, Tom Gaynor, who had no idea what he was getting into when he agreed to take on this role. But by using all his product management skills and knowledge, rose to the challenge and did a terrific job. Finally, and most importantly, I want to thank my family, which includes the support of my kids, Laura and Stephen, even though they live out of state and can't vote for me. And most of all, I want to thank my husband, Gary, without whose love and support, none of this would be possible, and that means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Trustee-elect Mary Beth Canty. Beth, if you'd raise your right hand and state your full name.
I, Mary Beth Canty,
Having been elected to the office of Village Trustee
having been elected to the office of Village Trustee
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Mary Beth.
So I did not write any prepared remarks tonight, but I do want to say a huge thank you to this room full of people. Many of you served on my campaign. You made phone calls, you went door to door, you handed out signs and literature, and I could not have been here without you. I also want to thank my husband and my kids, because literally I would not be here without them. And they, like many of you, also knocked on doors and put out signs and handed out campaign literature. I heard an amazing quote today at a lunch that said, "Our diversity is our strength. Our unity is our power." I very much look forward to representing all of the residents of Arlington Heights, those who came out to vote and those who did not, those who will vote in the future. Thank you very much for trusting me to represent you here with this amazing board of people. Thank you.
All right, Beth, I'm going to give you this oath of office, which you'll need to sign in front of our village clerk. But I'm also going to present you with this village logo pin. And this is something that all elected and appointed board and commission members wear as representatives of this great community. And I just want you to note that these are from my own personal collection from circa early 1990s. And so these are the good ones. So this is, wear this one proudly, but also keep good care of it because the other ones aren't as good as this one. Congratulations. Trustee-elect Tom Schwingbeck. Tom, if you'd raise your right hand and state your full name.
I, Tom Schwingbeck,
Having been elected to the office of village trustee
having been elected to the office of village trustee
in the village of Arlington Heights,
of Arlington Heights
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Tom.
I'm going to keep this nice and short and sweet because I have a tendency to talk too much, I'm being told. There's a lot of people in the room today who helped me in this campaign, and I truly am very appreciated. I am honored to have been elected by the residents of this village, and I promise to do what's always in the best interest of our town. I do want to thank my wife, Renee, who's here today, who has supported me every step of the way. My son, Michael, who surprised me and came home from college this weekend, didn't expect him here, and my son, Nick, who are in the back room, so thank you very much. And my good friend, Ted Eckhart, who's helped me with my campaign as well. So I appreciate it very much, honored and humbled to represent the village. Thank you.
To you as well, your oath to be signed before our village clerk, and also from the cherished collection of Tom. Wear it proudly. Well, we've been truly blessed in this community to have some really fine elected representatives, not just on this village board, but throughout the village, whether it be the library board, the park board, the school districts, the townships. And so I know I'm really looking forward to working together with this newly elected group. They're going to continue the fine tradition of representing this village in the best way possible. With one goal in mind, and that's enhancing the quality of life that we enjoy here, and also making sure that in every vote that they take, it's doing so with the best interests of this entire village in mind. And so I'm confident that this newly elected board is going to continue that great tradition. So welcome, new members. All right, we then need to start with roll call. Oh, we haven't done Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please rise and join the newly elected village board in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg. Trustee Padovani.
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia.
Here.
Trustee Baldino.
Here.
Trustee LaBedz.
Here.
Trustee Scaletta.
Here.
Trustee Canty.
Here.
President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the village board meeting from April 15, 2019. Are there any changes or passes other than the new trustees, Trustee Canty and Trustee Schwingbeck?
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Tinaglia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And next, we have the approval of the warrant register, and I'd call on Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move now to approve the warrant register in the amount of $3,126,910.56.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Tinaglia. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Scaletta.
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia.
Yes.
Trustee Padovani.
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz.
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Pass.
Trustee Canty.
Yes.
Trustee Baldino.
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, under recognitions and presentations, we have a couple of things to do tonight that are not on the agenda. And in recognition of the upcoming Memorial Day and surrounding events, I'd like to call on Trustee Greg Padovani.
Thank you, Mayor. As you might know, I serve as the chairman of the Veterans Memorial Committee of Arlington Heights, and we have been organizing the Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony here now for under my organization for about 10 years, but this has been going on since the year 1919, when this village hosted the World War I Welcome Home Parade for all those young men who went off to World War I and served and came home. And since that day, since that year, the village has hosted a Memorial Day parade every year. And I was trained by a gentleman by the name of Wally Litchfager, who was commander of our VFW Post 981. And sadly, he joined our Supreme Commander here earlier this year. But he did that for 30 years. And he told me all throughout the time he was training me that the Memorial Day Parade is a wonderful experience. It brings the community together to honor our veterans and just bring the whole spirit of patriotism out in our community. But its real purpose is to bring us together and bring us to Memorial Park for the ceremony, the Memorial Day ceremony, because Memorial Day is about honoring and remembering our fallen heroes all over the nation, and the 58 young men from our town, from Arlington Heights, who died in the service of our nation from the Civil War through Afghanistan. So when you, if you could mark your calendars on for Monday, May 27th, that will be the day, Memorial Day, that we'll have the Memorial Day Parade, which starts at 9:30 right here in front of Village Hall, goes up Sigwalt, takes a right turn and goes north on Dutton, takes a left turn at the library on Euclid, and then goes down to the little triangular park we call Memorial Park. It's one block west of the library, and it has at the center of it the eternal flame, the 15-foot bronze flame sculpted by Fran Volz. We had it polished, so it's beautiful and gleaming and golden right now, but at the foot of that are commemorative bricks for our veterans, and there's a special section for our fallen heroes. So all 58 fallen heroes have bricks there, as well as over 100 other fallen heroes from around the nation. And we'll have our ceremony there, and we'd like everybody to attend that, as well as the parade. But the things that have been going on this year, because it's a centennial, are really something special that I'd like to recognize. First, if you're standing along the parade route, I think you'll be seeing some people come by under the direction of Tom Schwingbeck, who has volunteered to pass out the Arlington Memorial signs, Arlington Remember signs. And these are something that is kind of the theme of our Memorial Days here in Arlington Heights. And if you should grab one from the volunteers along the parade route, please hold these up when the veterans come by, because it means a lot to them. I can tell you now, the Vietnam Veterans of America who are going to be here really, really appreciate this. But the other thing about this sign that's very special is on the backside are the names of the 58 fallen heroes from Arlington Heights. So this sign is very special. We'll have these passed out along the parade route, and some at the ceremony if they're left. Keep these. Put these up in your windows, in your homes, your schools, your churches, your businesses, because this is what Arlington remembers and believes in to honor our fallen heroes. The other thing I have to really give a lot of credit to is because of this historic occasion, a group headed up by Debbie Nelson has put together a wonderful Centennial Memorial Day video that's actually running now on the cable TV channels, which are, correct me if I'm wrong now, channels 17 in Comcast, 6 in WOW, and 99 in UVerse. And it's only 8 minutes, but it does a wonderful job of taking you from 1919 all the way to the current year and highlighting not only those years, but also the young men who died during those periods of time from Arlington Heights that make up the Arlington's Fallen Heroes. Debbie had a tremendous amount of help from the library, from the Daily Herald, from the Historical Society, from Kevin Corcoran here with the video. It's all a very big team effort. But also, we have something else very, very special that we've done to commemorate this occasion, and that is that if you've been in the military, you know that there's something called a challenge coin. And a challenge coin is a special device, a special award that's given to people from a unit. And I decided in my thoughts about this occasion that we should probably have something like that for Arlington Heights. But I didn't have the horsepower to get it done. So I turned to a gentleman that I've worked with many years who took the project and made this coin, this very, very special coin, possible. And that was Mike Sedor. He took the coin, he came up with the design, he found the place to make it, which, by the way, was a veteran-owned and United States-based organization. And I'd like Mike to come up, if he could, and talk more about it.
Thank you, Greg. And I thought I was going to get Mondays off. Is John here? Yeah? Have you seen John? Not here, okay. Good evening, Mayor Hayes and the Village Board of Trustees, village staff, and Clerk Becky Hume. She always gets forgotten. First, I want to congratulate Trustees LaBedz and Scaletta on their re-election. Congratulations, as well as Trustees Schwingbeck and Mary Beth Canty. I hope you get as much out of that seat in return as I did. So even though Greg stole a little bit of my thunder, a few months ago, Greg called and said, I have this idea for this coin. What can you do for me? He gave me a list of things that he wanted the coin to say and have on it, which would never fit on a coin. So I sat with a local designer and good friend Tim Meyer, and we created a coin with the elements that embrace our community's dedication to our fallen heroes, veterans and active duty military. Briefly, on the front of the coin, which is the part on your left up there, it states our promise to honor and remember our fallen heroes, along with the date of this year's Memorial Day, May 27th, 2019. In the center is the image of Veterans Memorial Park taken by Judy Reynolds, and prominently features the Eternal Flame sculpture, as Greg said, that Fran Voles had created, and provides a snapshot of Veterans Memorial Park as it is today. So as Greg will say, 100 years from now, when someone looks at this coin, they'll know what Veterans Memorial Park looked like back then, because there might be some high rises or something behind that statue. The back of the coin notes that we are celebrating the 100th Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony, and in the center, the familiar Arlington Remembers slogan appears in the background of stars, which if you move the coin, it actually adds visual motion to the coin. I just think it's pretty cool, my personal opinion. We are proud to state that our coin is made in the USA, as Greg already stated, even though I sent him what I was going to read for his approval. And it's manufactured by Quartermaster Sales in Jacksonville, Florida, whose slogan is innovation, integrity, and service. And I have to tell you, this vendor in the United States, not in a foreign land, made these coins for us, and we couldn't be more proud and more happy with their service. They have been just a joy to work with. So through the generosity of a whole bunch of donors, because Greg started with 300 coins, we ended up with 5,000 coins, from donors from our community, the commemorative coins will be presented to fallen hero families, veterans attending the parade and ceremony, veterans in our senior living communities, members of VFW Post 981, American Legion Post 208, Northwest Suburban Marine Corps League Detachment 80, Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 311, active military in the parade and in support, and the people and organizations that have supported Memorial Day in Arlington Heights. Now, we're going to have John talk about the distribution, but perhaps you can handle that, Greg. But thank you. And do you want to do this one now, or do you want to do it after? Want to do this presentation now? So we do have the veterans on behalf of Mayor Hayes, if you can come down, since one of our members isn't here. On behalf of the Veterans Memorial Committee of Arlington Heights, our good friends at Grand Frame and Gallery made these, I don't know which camera, these beautiful shadow boxes to show both sides of the coin. We want to present the village with their very own double-sided shadow box of coin.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Diana, where's your camera?
Just watching Grey's Anatomy.
Well, thanks, Mike and Greg. And on behalf of all of the residents of Arlington Heights who have supported veterans and military service members and their families over the past 100+ years, actually, back in, as Greg said, into the Civil War, before Arlington Heights was even founded. I'm very happy as mayor to be accepting this on behalf of all those residents who've contributed so much to honoring the service and sacrifice of our families, but our military veterans and their families. But also, as a veteran myself, I'm very happy to be accepting this on behalf of all veterans who've served over the course of many, many years in the village of Arlington Heights. And so this will be very proudly displayed in our village hall and as a remembrance of the service and sacrifice and ultimate sacrifice of our 58 fallen heroes. And so, Mike, thanks so much again for your participation and leadership in this endeavor. And Greg, you too. And Tim and all the others, John, and I know many, many people have had their hand in this one way or another. And it's just such a great reflection of what our community is all about. So thank you very much, both of you.
And Mayor, if I may continue just a little bit more, what Mike was referring to about the distribution of the coin on Memorial Day, we have one of our committee members, John Gledhill, who couldn't make it. He's a Arlington resident and retired Army Sergeant Major, and he took over the task of providing or distributing the coins on Memorial Day, and he's organized quite a group. He's going to have two groups going up the side, either side, one on either side of the parade. Active duty troops, some of our volunteers from our local high schools, and they're going to look for any veteran, anybody who is wearing a veteran's hat or veteran's clothing, so that they can present the coin to them with a salute in thanks for their service. They'll do that all along the parade for any veteran from anywhere that is attending the parade. And then at the ceremony at Memorial Park after the parade, we'll have what we're calling a coin table for any of the veterans or active duty military that'll be there. And those coins will be provided to those folks also. So if you know, I'm asking all the residents, if you know any veterans who would like to be honored, would like to receive this beautiful coin. It's really well designed. It's a keepsake. It'll be something to remember Arlington Heights for, I hope, 100 years to come. Please ask those veterans to come to our Memorial Day parade and ceremony. We want them to have one of these coins. And there is one last thing, and that is after the parade, after the ceremony, we'd like to invite the entire community to go over to Rec Park. Now, over at Rec Park, there's a very large soccer field, And we've arranged for a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter to land in that soccer field and be available for tours. The pilot will disengage the batteries, so he said anybody can get up into the pilot seat of the Black Hawk helicopter and take a look at what a pilot sees. And they'll be there until about 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock, and then they'll take off in a very big helicopter way. So it's a wonderful thing for families, for kids, for old kids like me, to go and enjoy something like that and see what a Black Hawk helicopter is all about. That's Memorial Day, after the parade, after the ceremony. Go over to Rec Park and see an Army Black Hawk helicopter. And if anybody has any questions, the website, vaah.com, our village website, has all this information on it. It has the parade application, it has the Memorial Day flyer on it, and it has my name and contact information if you have questions. Thank you so much, Mayor.
All right, thanks, Craig and Mike and all those involved in this very worthwhile project. Well, one other item that's not on the agenda under recognitions and presentations, I had the pleasure of meeting with a group earlier this evening before the board meeting representing Apraxia Kids. And they were led by Maureen Elia and her son Grayson as the volunteer outreach coordinators for the state of Illinois and throughout the country. And so at their request, I've declared May 14, 2019 as the first annual Apraxia Awareness Day. And let me just tell you a little bit about that. Childhood apraxia of speech causes children to have significant difficulty learning to speak and is among the most severe speech deficits in children. And whereas without appropriate speech therapy intervention, children with apraxia are placed at high risk for secondary impacts in reading, writing, spelling, and other school-related skills. And so it's imperative that there be greater public awareness about childhood apraxia of speech among community members, physicians, education professionals, policymakers, and elected officials. And so now, therefore, I, as mayor of the Village of Arlington Heights, along with this Village Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim May 14, 2019 as the first annual Apraxia Awareness Day in the Village of Arlington Heights and encourage our residents to work with their community to increase awareness and understanding of this childhood apraxia of speech disorder. So thank you. Right, there's no other recognitions and presentations, so we'll move on in the agenda to citizens to be heard. And we do have one blue card tonight, and that's Greg Andajeski. Greg? Greg, I know you've done this many times before, so just a reminder of the 3-minute time limit.
I can do that tonight.
Okay.
My name's Greg Andajeski, and I'm at 1 North Chestnut. Been a resident off and on for 50-plus years. So tonight I'm actually here in something that is kind of to deal with military. And so I recently became a member of the SAL, the Sons of the American Legion, and they asked me to come and speak tonight as we're having a collection week for homeless veterans. Homeless veterans is a very big problem we have in America, and I think a lot of us, we don't recognize that some of the people we see on the streets, we tend to make some judgments about, and we need to maybe not make those judgments and just offer some help. And in this collection week that is coming up, we actually started today, what we're looking to do is concentrate on homeless veterans. They can get help, they can get some assistance getting into properties, apartments, or wherever they may be able to rent a place, and the government will assist them with, the building, and maybe with some bills. But then they move into this building and they have nothing. They don't have furniture, they don't have toiletries, paper towel, anything you can imagine in your kitchen, they don't have. So open up your cabinets and they don't have it. Plates, silverware, you can go up and down the list. And so through an organization, Military Outreach USA in Northbrook, last year there was a test trial in Palatine, for a collection of goods, bed frames, beds, cabinets, tables, lightly used furniture for the front room, things that can make a difference so that when they actually move into the apartment, that they can actually feel like they're home. And so the Legion, and with the 208 over on Minor, along with the SAL, the auxiliary, are doing collection the whole week. We do have a company out of Buffalo Grove that's going to have some pods. So from basically 11 o'clock in the morning till dusk, we're going to have people there that can accept furniture or toiletries or even some clothing, but really it's about the nuts and bolts in a house or an apartment so that people can take these things, put them together, get it packaged together, and when a homeless veteran comes off the streets, we can give them this package that will give them a home. And so it doesn't really cost anything. I've noticed a lot of people are putting out their spring cleaning items out there. Kind of missed it a couple of weeks ago when it was nice weather. But it's going to be a nice weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. It looks like the weather's going to be fine. So slide it into your SUV, put it in your trunk, bring it down to the Legion. They're going to do as much as they can take. And then that's going to go to Military Outreach USA in Northbrook, and they're going to coordinate it out to the veterans. So take a look. If you got something you can give, by all means, it'd be fabulous. If you don't have much to give, please, toiletries, things along those lines. It's really a collection. It's not for money. So they're really looking for things as opposed to cash. So I'd hope that you guys can help out. I appreciate the time. I know I'm over at that. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. We appreciate your efforts and the efforts of the American Legion and the SAL. Right. I have no other blue cards. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Sir, if you come forward and just give us your name, if you would. Wait until you get to the microphone.
Sorry I wasn't able to write my name down, but I got here kind of late. One of my concerns...
Just give us your name, if you would.
My name is Robert Schmidt, 13-year resident. One of my concerns right now is the people coming off the train. They act as though the stoplight rules and do not really apply to them. They just kind of go whenever. I've always sort of avoided that area for that reason. I just don't like going down that way at all. The train stop area there. And I was wondering if the police could do something about that.
Well, as a commuter myself, I know Trustee LaBedz and Trustee Baldino is a commuter as well. And so we observe, and I have to admit, I'm guilty at times myself. And so the police do come and make sure that commuters do observe the train rules in terms of not crossing the tracks and things like that. But you're talking about crossing Northwest Highway and other busy streets.
Yeah, like going from getting off at Vale and then crossing Northwest Highway towards the library. They just seem to charge out, and if it's a red light, they don't care, and they just keep going.
Right. It's a good reminder, Robert, and we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
So, and my other concern is I clean up a lot of trash around town, like walking my son to the North School Park and whatnot. I've noticed a lot of doggy doo-doo on the ground. I pick up a lot of it. I was just wondering, speaking of tickets and whatnot, if it was possible for a cop to, approach someone, and if it's obvious that they don't have a doggy bag in their hand, and, be able to question them and be like, where's your doggy bag? Because there's a lot of it that I've picked up all over town. So I just wanted to bring that up as well.
We appreciate that. As an owner of 2 dogs myself, I know we make sure that we bring our plastic bags out, and it's a good reminder for all of our dog owners to make sure we do that. Ms. Ward, I don't know that we have an ordinance that would...
We do.
Okay, and what, can you tell us exactly what it says?
Well, you're not allowed, you have to clean, if you're not, your dog is not supposed to defecate on public property or somebody else's private property, but if they do, you're supposed to clean up after.
Okay, well, it's a good reminder.
Okay. And my third question is, I probably already know the answer to this one, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. The trash that is like ridiculous all up and down the tracks, is there anything that you guys could say to Metro to have them try to encourage them to clean up the tracks there? Because it's just horrible on their tracks. I mean, especially for those of us with properties that are parallel to the tracks, it's pretty disgusting.
Right, I know there's different jurisdictions involved in terms of responsibility for doing that kind of thing. Is the staff prepared to answer that question at all, Mr. Reckloff?
It's something we can certainly pass on to Metro, but in some cases, trash may blow onto private property or another entity's property, but certainly something we can pass on to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad in areas, so I just thought I'd bring it to your attention.
Sure.
So, but
All good points, thank you.
Yep.
Right, is anyone else who wishes to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on then in the agenda to old business, and we do have one item to report out from our meeting earlier this evening, and I call on Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. I move now, as I did earlier this evening, that the village board approve the request from Hey Nani to use a portion of a public sidewalk for outdoor dining, including the serving of alcohol.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Baldino, second by Trustee Tinaglia. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Can we go ahead and have a motion to move the resolution approving the license agreement forward in the agenda at this point?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Baldino, second by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And now we would need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
By Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Tinaglia. Any questions or comments on the resolution? Seeing none from the board, anything from the audience? Roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg, Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, good luck, Mr. Brooks and team. And I know we're all hoping for a good season in terms of weather, so people can enjoy the outdoor dining, but also your new establishment. So I hope things are going well.
Thank you very
Right.
much, and thank you for advancing that on the agenda.
Okay.
I told Joe Keefe I'd advertise his show, but I won't.
Is he still here? No. Okay. Okay. All right. There is no other old business. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Any members of the audience who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any members of the board who wish to vote no or pass on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
So moved. By Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Padovani. Any further questions or comments? Roll call.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Padovani,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Move on then to new business, and we do have one item tonight. That's the request from Yamada America, located at 955 East Algonquin Road, for an amendment to the rezoning ordinance. Is the petitioner present? Why don't you come forward if you would and just identify yourself?
Good evening. My name is Kevin Sherman. I'm the architect for Yamada America.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and proceed?
Let me give you a brief. You could show the first slide, please. Yamada America is a specialty air-powered pump supplier to all major industries. They are invested in Arlington Heights since purchasing their building in 2006. They manufacture their pumps elsewhere and distribute around the country from their Algonquin Road facility. For special orders, pumps are modified on site to suit a customer's specifications. They employ a diverse staff of 32 persons at the facility. Besides warehousing and service and sales and marketing, those are the primary activities at the site. Their growing business sales and presence in Arlington Heights is also growing their contribution to the local economy. They maintain their property in excellent condition and have always been a good corporate citizen. Their employees are happy to be in Arlington Heights, I can say. Slide 2, please. Their growth in sales has increased their need for warehouse space. And after exploring several options over the last year, Yamada has decided to convert most of the existing office space to warehouse use and relocate their existing offices into a new addition. The addition is elevated above the existing parking lot. So the upper part of the drawing where it's labeled existing building is existing. The right end of that drawing of the existing building is their current office space. And in the parking area below, you can see a darker rectangle of parking spaces. That's the area underneath the new office addition. Next slide, please. The upper drawing shows the new office addition space. It's primarily open office with several private offices and support areas in the back. And below that office space is parking, which provides covered parking for their employees. And the last slide, please. The impact to the site is a major improvement in aesthetics by upgrading the appearance with a modern office addition and a new main building entry, in addition to the benefit of covered parking. The design successfully addresses Yamada's needs, including not disrupt their ongoing business operations. The project has received unanimous support and favor from both the Design Commission and the Plan Commission. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ecklouse, Mr. Enright, anything to add?
Just briefly, Mayor, this is an amendment to the original ordinance that rezoned the property in the 80s. This building has been around for a while. Yamada's been there, I believe, since about 2006. So the truck loading area to the eastern portion of the site, trucks have to come in off of Cedar Glen. Sometimes they pull up past the driveway and then back into the loading docks. So we did at the Plan Commission public hearing have a citizen come out and who lives in the row homes south here and east of the proposed facility here, had a complaint about some of the stacking of vehicles, and sometimes it was hard to drive around them while trucks do some maneuvering. There aren't that many trucks coming to and from the site every day, but we did work on some additional language with the developer related to if there are issues in the future on a continuous basis that the petitioner landowner will implement either widening of this existing drive. This is looking back at the docks on the east facade of the business from Cedar Glen. So either widening this roadway slightly, a few feet, because it's only about 20 feet right now, would be one option to help with some of the maneuvers. However, the petitioner did provide us a video, which I was unable to play tonight on the PowerPoint, showing that trucks can easily leave the property without any issues, but they do back into the site, into the loading docks, which can cause, other people on the roadway to possibly wait for those maneuverings to occur. We have not had complaints. We checked with our our police department and our engineering department, and we don't have any historical record of receiving complaints about these maneuvering of trucks. But we did add some language that we worked on with the petitioner to add to the conditions of approval. In green here, should truck queuing for access become a recurring issue, the property owner will work with the village to mitigate the cause of any such truck queuing issues for village review and approval. That would be staff. Possible improvements to address this issue may include the implementation of improvements as depicted on the exhibits that were included in the memo that was sent to the board, which basically include either widening the existing curb cut off of Cedar Glen. A larger improvement would be at the southern end of the site, adding quite a bit of pavement so that trucks could come in off Algonquin Road and traverse down the west side of the property. It's only about 15 feet wide, only 10 feet of pavement, so they'd probably have to add a little pavement there. But then also add quite a bit of pavement at the southern end and redo their detention basin at the southern end, so that trucks could come around here and just wait there until a loading dock opened, or they could pull up to the curb and then back in, but they'd probably have to go out a little bit into the street either way. So the petitioners agreed to that language, so staff would recommend adding that in case we do have any issues in the future.
Okay, just to confirm for the record, you are in agreement with this modified language?
Yes.
The additional condition? Okay. Anything further from the staff?
No, Mayor.
All right, anything from the board? Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't necessarily think we need to revise the language that's issued here, but what does recurring mean? Does that mean there's a daily stack of trucks? Because my understanding from the memo that we received, it wasn't necessarily the trucks backing in, it was the stacking of trucks on Cedar Glen. And it was unclear how often that was happening. So what do we mean by recurring issue?
Well, I think it will mean if we receive a lot of complaints, which we have not up to this point, and this business has been there since 2006. So I think if we, and you're right, part of the issue too is trucks stacking in Cedar Glen and cars having to go around it. The roadway is about 35 feet, so it is pretty wide. But obviously, if there's a truck sitting there, a semi, that caused some visibility issues potentially. But again, we haven't had a lot of complaints. We just had the one, and we don't need to, I don't mean to lessen the importance of that, but I think if we were to receive complaints on a fairly continuous basis from people who utilize the road, particularly the residents, that we would have to investigate with the petitioner on making some of these more significant improvements to the site.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I support this proposal, but I just wanted to see if we could come up with a better definition of recurring without necessarily changing the language, just so we understood what that meant.
Okay. Anybody else? Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, thank you to the company that you're working for investing in the property and not looking for a new one. So thank you for staying in the village. Do you have someone on property that is responsible for, I don't want to say necessarily the queuing, but encouraging the movement of trucks in and out, or are you guys just sitting there waiting for them to come in? I mean, is there someone kind of taking the lead to make sure that they do clear the traffic?
Well, most of their inbound large shipments where they have a full container load happens, I think, once or twice a month. We'll get a container of a product in, and those are almost always morning deliveries. Those are scheduled within a 2 or 3 hour window. And then in the afternoon is when there's outbound traffic, and that's when trucks are coming in to pick up a pallet or two of product, for distribution. And so there's no ability to control when they arrive, and that's because we've looked into this to address this issue particularly, and there's no way, because there's different carriers that just show up. You don't necessarily know who's coming when, or even if they're coming at all.
So the company that purchases the product is hiring their own carrier?
Correct, in some cases.
Okay. Well, and in some cases is, I'm going to say their name wrong, Yamada?
Yes.
Are they hiring any of the trucks to pick up product
They
and
do.
take away?
For example, I believe they use FedEx and UPS. But even in discussions with them, there's a limited window, like a 3 hour window that they can expect a truck to arrive. Because they're making multiple stops. I forget the term for it, but it's where a truck is making a number of stops at different businesses, picking up deliveries.
Understood. It's a window. They have a window of when the product will be picked up, give or take. So I guess my question is that, especially on the ones where you're hiring the company, but I mean, I would imagine UPS and FedEx are pretty much in and out. I'm imagining that the problem is more of like the semis, where someone is coming to pick up pallets, and the driver gets there maybe a little bit early, or decides that he is looking for a little bit of, downtime before he picks up that pallet or pallets and then takes off. So I'm just wondering if maybe there's a little bit more communication with the companies that are either picking up or with the companies that are hiring that carrier. I think that some of those small steps might resolve the issue so that you don't end up having to get into the green language.
Yeah, so I mean, it's in Yamata's interest to do exactly that. And I have to say that over the course of the last week, they've been doing that, but they also have learned that that they don't have the ability to control, in many cases, when trucks arrive to pick up a pallet or of product, because these are small deliveries. It's not as if it's a dedicated truck loaded with their product. It's a carrier who's picking up, a pallet or two, and it's a quick turnaround. And it's just coincidence when, there happens to be 3 trucks there because they only have 2 semi-docks.
I don't disagree with that. Believe me, I understand the complexity of it. Sometimes I think it's just communication with either the couriers or the clients that are having someone pick something up. Sometimes that just eliminates some of the problems. Not all, but some. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further from the board? Seeing none, I have no blue cards from anyone who wishes to address the board. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board on this agenda item? Seeing none, we do have a unanimous recommendation, but we also have a modified condition. So is there a motion to approve with the modified condition?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's give it to Trustee Padovani, and seconded by Trustee Scaletta. Any further questions or comments from the board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no other new business, and we've taken care of the legal items, so we move on to the report of the village manager, Mr. Recklaus.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one item. I know there's a lot of interest in the community on the Arlington 425 project. I just wanted to note that the Housing Commission did meet this evening on that project and did make a recommendation. Therefore, the item will be appearing on a special board meeting agenda next Monday, May 13th in the evening. We will be making an announcement on the exact time of that meeting and all the particulars in the next day or so. But just wanted to make note that this will appear at a special board meeting next Monday, May 13th.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the board under petitions and communications? Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
By Trustee Baldino, seconded by Trustee Scaletta. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, our new trustees, and thank you all for joining us tonight.